Chapter 1. Versailles, the Theater of the Sun King. No court in history outshone Versailles under Louis XIV, the self-styled Sun King. He didn't just reign, he performed monarchy daily. Every moment of his life, from waking to sleeping, was ritualized into an opera of obedience. The lever, morning majesty. Each morning, the royal chamber doors opened in stages. First came the petit lever, attended by select nobles who dressed the king. Handing him his shirt was an honor worth lifelong bragging rights. The grand lever followed, where courtiers entered in waves to bow and admire him as he rose, powdered, and preened. No action was private. Eating, praying, even walking in the gardens, all were acts of public theater designed to remind everyone that Louis was the center of the universe. The coucher, sleep as spectacle. The same grandeur closed his day. Courtiers again competed for the privilege of undressing him. Only those with the highest rank could hand the king his nightshirt. Beneath the grandeur was genius. Louis used ritual as a political weapon. By keeping nobles busy with etiquette, not rebellion, he transformed potential rivals into fashionably docile spectators of their own servitude. Versailles wasn't just a palace, it was a perfectly choreographed ballet of submission.
Chapter 2. The Forbidden City. Ritual in Silence. While Versailles dazzled in noise and perfume, the Forbidden City of Imperial China ruled through silence and precision. From the Ming to the Qing dynasties, the emperor was the son of heaven, the cosmic bridge between earth and the divine. To see him, let alone speak, required obedience measured in millimeters. The kowtow ritual. Foreign ambassadors and local officials had to perform the kowtow, 3 kneelings and 9 prostrations, forehead striking the floor each time. Failure to bow deeply enough was political suicide. During the 1793 visit of British envoy Lord Macartney, the refusal to kowtow before Emperor Qianlong caused a diplomatic rupture that echoed for decades. To the Qing court, ritual wasn't formality. It was the structure of the universe itself. Palace etiquette. Within the Forbidden City, hierarchy was microscopic. Eunuchs walked backward when leaving the emperor's presence. Servants could not make eye contact. Even the arrangement of dishes during banquets followed strict cosmic geometry, each ingredient symbolizing balance between yin and yang. A single sneeze during the emperor's meal could mean exile. Ritual order reflected the cosmic order, the palace, an earthly model of heaven.
Chapter 3. Japan's Imperial Courts, the Poetry of Precision. If China's rituals embodied hierarchy, Japan's court ceremonies embodied harmony. The Heian court, 794 to 1185, elevated etiquette to art, a world where beauty, scent, and subtle gestures defined power. The Heian aesthetic. Court life revolved around miyabi, the art of refinement. Nobles competed in poetry, incense blending, and the layering of silk robes, up to 12 at a time. Every detail was symbolic. Colors shifted with the seasons, sleeve length reflected rank. One's handwriting could determine marriage prospects or political alliances. Court diaries reveal nobles agonizing over whether their poems matched the mood of a misty morning. In Japan, ritual wasn't excess, it was meditation. It turned power into poetry and obedience into grace.
Chapter 4. The Ottoman Empire, Silk, Shadows, and the Dance of Obedience. If Versailles was theater and China was geometry, the Ottoman court was choreography. an intricate dance of protocol, perfume, and paranoia. Topkapi Palace and the Ritual of Distance. At the heart of Istanbul, Topkapi Palace was less a residence than a labyrinth of etiquette. The Sultan rarely appeared in public. When he did, subjects prostrated themselves and avoided direct speech. Officials approached him in silence, bowing 3 times. The Grand Vizier was the only man permitted to speak freely, and even he risked his head if his tone displeased. The Sultan's meals were served in gold dishes, but never in company. He ate behind screens to prevent poisoning. Servants left food silently, faces turned away. The Tulip Era and Imperial Festivals. Yet Ottoman ritual could also be dazzlingly beautiful. During the 18th century's Tulip Era, the court held night festivals illuminated by thousands of oil lamps and floating lanterns. The Sultan's barge draped in silk and tulip garlands glided along the Bosporus as music and poetry echoed across the water. Meanwhile, in the harem, another kind of ritual thrived, one of silence and intrigue. Eunuchs guarded the women's quarters with absolute loyalty. Greetings, bow depths, and even eye contact followed secret codes. To outsiders, Ottoman ceremony looked like decadence. To insiders, it was survival. Elegance, masking, control.
Chapter 5. The Mughal Empire, the Peacock Throne, and the Dazzle of Darbar. In 17th century India, the Mughal emperors turned ritual into cosmic theater. Their courts shimmered like the heavens themselves, literally designed to represent the universe. Akbar's solar throne. Emperor Akbar the Great, 1542 to 1605, positioned his throne under a golden sunburst, symbolizing his divine light. At dawn, courtiers gathered to perform the Jharoka Darshan, a daily viewing where Akbar appeared at a balcony, bathed in sunlight, to bless his subjects. He abolished rigid dining etiquette, inviting scholars of all faiths to eat with him. Yet even in inclusivity, every gesture had ritual meaning: where one sat, what one ate, how one spoke. Jahangir's chain of justice. His son Jahangir added spectacle to justice. Outside his palace in Agra hung a massive golden chain connecting his balcony to a bell. Any citizen could pull it to summon imperial judgment directly. When foreign visitors like Sir Thomas Roe witnessed Mughal ceremonies, they described them as a living galaxy. Courtiers wore gems, peacock feathers, and embroidered gold. Even the air shimmered with incense. The peacock throne, encrusted with rubies, emeralds, and diamonds, was more than furniture. It was a cosmic map of divine order. To sit upon it was not merely to rule India, but the universe itself. Chapter 6. The Russian Court. Ice, Incense, and Imperial Eccentricity. Russia's royal rituals were forged in frost and fire, grand, mystical, and sometimes completely unhinged. The Byzantine Legacy. When Ivan the Terrible crowned himself Tsar of all the Russias in 1575, he borrowed heavily from Byzantine ceremony. The coronation involved sacred oil from Constantinople and relics said to grant divine favor. Ivan insisted that only he could interpret God's will, a claim reinforced by ritual isolation. He made nobles crawl on their knees during audiences. Some were forced to address him with eyes averted, their foreheads touching the icy floor of the Kremlin. Peter the Great's anti-ritual ritual. Then came Peter the Great, 1672 to 1725, who decided to reverse centuries of formality. His solution? Replace pious solemnity with theatrical mockery. He created the all-jesting, all-drunken synod of fools and jesters, a parody of church hierarchy. Nobles had to wear absurd costumes, kiss bottles instead of relics, and toast Peter until they collapsed. It was both hilarious and horrifying, a ritual humiliation proving loyalty through inebriation. Ironically, by mocking ritual, Peter invented a new one: obedience through chaos. Catherine the Great's controlled grandeur. By the 18th century, Catherine restored refinement but kept the psychological edge. Her coronation in 1762 blended Orthodox mysticism with Enlightenment symbolism, a calculated spectacle to reassure both priests and philosophers. At court dinners, she used ritual seating to test alliances. Guests were rearranged nightly based on favor, scandal, or rumor, a silent ballet of ambition under chandeliers. For all its majesty, the Russian court remained a paradox, brutal in power, exquisite in presentation, and ruled by rulers who knew ceremony could control even fear itself.
Chapter 7. Medieval Europe. Holy Crowns and Holy Chaos. Medieval courts across Europe turned ritual into theology, where every gesture mirrored divine will and every coronation felt like a sacrament. The coronation of kings. The anointing ceremony was the heart of medieval kingship. When Charlemagne was crowned by Pope Leo III in 800 AD, the act fused religion and politics forever. The Church's holy oil marked kings as Dei gratia reges, or kings by the grace of God. Ritual objects, scepters, orbs, and swords weren't mere regalia. They were metaphysical tools, believed to channel divine energy. The crown symbolized eternity, the sword justice, the ring fidelity to God. England's court of ceremony. By the 13th century, English monarchy had its own theatrical rhythm. Royal banquets involved dozens of synchronized servants, each with assigned steps and hand gestures. Even carving meat was a ceremony, a skill taught in manuals like The Boke of Curving of 1508. Henry VIII added his own rituals, elaborate jousts, midnight masquerades, and the infamous Field of Cloth of Gold, a diplomatic summit drenched in golden tents and fountains of wine. The event was supposed to showcase peace, but became a display of who had the shinier armor. In medieval Europe, ritual wasn't optional. It was the state. Chapter 8. African Royal Courts, Sacred Kings, and Living Gods. Across the African continent, royal ritual blended governance, spirituality, and ancestral power, often with breathtaking theatricality. The Ashanti Golden Stool. In 17th century Ghana, the Ashanti Kingdom held one of the most sacred royal symbols in history, the Golden Stool, or Sikadoa Kofi. According to legend, it descended from the heavens and landed in the lap of the first king, Osei Tutu, symbolizing the soul of the nation. No one, not even the king, could sit on it. It rested on its own throne, receiving offerings like a living deity. When the British tried to seize it in 1900, the Ashanti revolted, proving that ritual could be stronger than empire. The Kingdom of Dahomey. In the 18th century, Dahomey, modern Benin, perfected military pageantry. The king was attended by an elite corps of female warriors known as the Amazons, who guarded him during ceremonies. At annual customs festivals, the court honored ancestors with days of drumming, dance, and sacrifice. Rituals blending devotion and deterrence. The king's power was absolute, but his legitimacy depended on precise ritual timing. Missing an offering or misplacing a drum rhythm was seen as a cosmic warning. The Ethiopian Solomonic Court. In Ethiopia, emperors claimed descent from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Their coronations in Aksum were drenched in incense, psalms, and processions led by priests bearing ancient relics. Emperor Haile Selassie's 1930 coronation was so ornate that foreign journalists described it as medieval majesty revived. African courts remind us that ritual wasn't just spectacle, it was continuity, The bridge between ancestors and tomorrow.
Chapter 9. The Indian Subcontinent Beyond the Mughals. Ritual Republics and Maharajas. Even outside Mughal rule, India's princely states cultivated dazzlingly unique court traditions. Mysore and the Dasara procession. In the southern kingdom of Mysore, the Dasara festival became the crown jewel of royal display. The Maharaja rode an elephant decked in gold, carrying the idol of goddess Chamundeshwari through the streets, while dancers, soldiers, and priests moved in perfect rhythm. The ceremony wasn't just for glory, it was spiritual accounting. The king was expected to renew his vow to protect dharma, righteousness, and the people's prosperity. Jaipur's color and order. The Rajput courts, especially in Jaipur and Udaipur, perfected the pageantry of precision. From elephant polo matches to palace illuminations, every event followed cosmic calendars and astrological charts. Even the color of turbans signaled messages: saffron for bravery, white for mourning, pink for hospitality. These rituals outlasted empires and colonizers. They made kingship a form of art, one that balanced divinity and delight.
Chapter 10. Modern Monarchies, Pageantry Without Power. Today's royal families may no longer rule by divine right, but their rituals remain vital, the art of symbolism surviving in a democratic age. The British Crown. Few ceremonies rival the endurance of Britain's monarchy. From the state opening of Parliament, where the monarch delivers a speech written by politicians, to trooping the color, ritual transforms monarchy into theater. Even the smallest detail carries centuries of meaning: the orb for divine authority, the scepter for justice, the crown for sacrifice. During Queen Elizabeth II's 1953 coronation, more than 20 million people watched, proof that ritual still commands modern hearts. Japan's chrysanthemum throne. The world's oldest continuous monarchy maintains rituals stretching back 2,000 years. The Japanese emperor's Daijosai, or Great Thanksgiving ceremony, involves a sacred meal offered to ancestral deities, eaten alone in silence. The event is so secret that even television cameras are banned. In a world of constant noise, the quiet reverence of the emperor's meal might be the most powerful ritual left. Ritual without rule. From royal weddings to coronations, today's pageantry may seem decorative, yet it carries deep psychological power. Ritual connects citizens to a story larger than themselves, turning history into emotion and monarchy into memory. Even in the age of democracy, we still crave the poetry of ceremony.
Epilogue: The Eternal Stage of Power. From Louis XIV's golden mornings to the Ashanti's sacred stool, from the kowtows of China to the coronations of Moscow, one truth remains constant: ritual makes power visible. Every empire understood that authority must be performed to be believed. Beneath the crowns, incense, and bows lies the same human equation: the need for order, the fear of chaos, and the longing to belong to something grander than ourselves. As empires rise and fade, the rituals survive, shimmering echoes of the ancient belief that to rule is to enchant.